Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. You may have been questioning why things have felt so heavy lately, why the doors have been locked, and why provision seemed delayed. But let this be your confirmation. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God has been lining things up behind the scenes. And now, heaven has stamped the approval. Your financial breakthrough has been released. What felt stuck is about to flow. What looked impossible is about to manifest. This is not a motivational speech. This is a divine announcement. You've won, not because of what you did, but because of what God decided. And now it's time to understand the full picture. Let's break it down. Before we dive deep, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this isn't just another message, this is divine confirmation. Chosen one, this is your receipt from heaven. You didn't stumble on this by mistake. God led you here because you're next in line for something major. And to every soul sowing into this assignment through super thanks, may God multiply your seed and surround your finances with favor. I see your support, your consistency, your hunger, and so does heaven. You're not invisible, you're invaluable. If your spirit knows this word is for you, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't just symbolic, it's a prophetic declaration that you're ready to walk in your appointed provision, overflow, and supernatural supply. This message isn't for everyone. It's for the one who's been praying, sacrificing, and obeying in silence. The one who stayed faithful when nothing made sense. The one who gave when they barely had enough. If that's you, stay until the end, because what you're about to hear will confirm what your spirit already knows. God has said yes to your financial release. This isn't entertainment, it's a spiritual download. And like all divine instructions, listen more than once. Each time you hear it, your faith will rise, your clarity will sharpen, and your next step will become clearer. Let's dive deeper. Chapter 1. You paid a price in silence. Chosen one, before the breakthrough came the breaking. Before the light, there was a long night, and you walked through it with nothing but faith and endurance. You endured seasons where it felt like God was quiet, people were blind to your value, and every door you knocked on stayed shut. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared, and that preparation came at a price. You were faithful when no one was clapping. You kept showing up when the stage was empty and your hands were trembling. You sowed seeds when you had barely anything left. You poured out love, prayers, encouragement, and help, even when your own soul was dry. You gave when you had needs. You covered others while you bled. You kept moving forward even when every step felt heavy. And through it all, you stayed silent. You didn't make announcements about your pain. You didn't explain your trials to people who wouldn't understand. You didn't try to prove your worth to the ones who overlooked you. You let the silence speak. You let the silence teach you. You let the silence shape you. And it did, because silence is where spiritual maturity grows. Silence is where God whispers instructions the world isn't meant to hear. You stayed quiet when you had the receipts. You kept humble when you had every right to roar. You forgave silently. You released offenses without needing applause. And while others saw nothing happening, heaven saw everything. Every time you bit your tongue, heaven wrote it down. Every tear you cried privately was stored in a bottle. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden. And not just hidden, preserved. God was watching how you handled the middle. He saw how you navigated lack, rejection, and long seasons of invisibility. And he took note, because obedience in silence is louder than rebellion in public. because surrender, without spotlight, carries weight in the spirit realm. And now, he's decided you're ready for the overflow. Because if you didn't fold under pressure, you won't fumble the promise. If you didn't walk away when it was hard, you won't waste the blessing when it arrives. You proved that your heart could be trusted. You proved that your worship wasn't just for the mountaintop. It was real even in the valley. And that's why you're about to walk into a season that will speak louder than any explanation you never gave. You didn't miss your moment. You were being molded for it. Your silence was a seed. And now comes the harvest. What you did in the dark is about to be honored in the light. You kept quiet, but God is about to make noise on your behalf. This is your reward for walking with integrity, for holding your peace, for trusting the process. You paid the price in silence. Now prepare to be elevated in public. Chapter 2. The warfare was over your wealth. Chosen one, what you thought was just life attacking you was actually a targeted assault from the enemy, not because you were weak, but because you carry the kind of purpose that threatens darkness. This wasn't just a hard season, it was high-level spiritual warfare. You were walking through what looked like lack, loss, and limitation. But behind the scenes, it was a battle over your divine inheritance. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. This was calculated resistance, because hell saw what was coming. The enemy knew that if you ever got your hands on what heaven ordained for you financially, it wouldn't just bless you, it would shift history. Ministries would be born, orphans would be housed, families would be rescued, entire regions would be transformed through the resources God placed in your destiny. And so, your finances were targeted, not just to keep you broke, but to keep you distracted. The enemy wanted you anxious, stressed, confused, doubting God's timing. He hoped that by keeping you in a cycle of survival, you'd never step into your mantle of stewardship. He hoped you'd fold before the funding arrived, but you didn't. You didn't quit. You didn't curse God. You didn't run back to your old ways for temporary relief. You didn't sell out. You didn't compromise. You kept walking, even with empty pockets. You kept sowing, even when the soil looked dry. You kept tithing. You kept trusting. You kept declaring that God is your source, even when everything around you said otherwise. And now, that obedience has spoken louder than the warfare. Heaven is responding to the way you handled the struggle. The war is over, and the release is near. But this release isn't just about having more money. It's not about materialism. It's about mission. It's about movement. God is raising up chosen ones like you to be kingdom distributors. You're not just getting wealth. You're being positioned as a gatekeeper of divine resources. This next release will restore what was lost, fund what's been delayed, and unlock what's been divinely preserved. You are stepping into the kind of abundance that delivers not just provision, but power. You're going to walk into rooms that once rejected you, but this time with the authority to fund the very things they couldn't even dream of. You see, the devil didn't attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because you were loaded with solutions, loaded with legacy, loaded with kingdom impact. He fought you over your finances because he knew they were the final piece to your full activation. But now, it's too late. You've survived what was sent to stop you. And because of that, God is about to release what was always yours. Get ready. The floodgates are opening. Not just for comfort, but for calling. Not just for elevation, but for execution of heaven's agenda. The warfare was over your wealth, but the victory is yours. Chapter 3. You've been approved in heaven first. Chosen one, before anything shows up in your hands, it is first settled in the heavens. Before it ever touches your bank account, enters your atmosphere, or manifests in your life, it was signed, sealed, and stamped in the Spirit. You don't live by man's systems, you live by kingdom protocol. And according to heaven's calendar, your name has already been called, your file has already been reviewed, your case has already been closed. And the verdict is this: you're ready. God doesn't bless randomly, He blesses strategically. He waited until your heart was postured right. He waited until your motives were pure. He waited until your hands could hold without harming. And now, He's decided that you're not just ready to receive, you're ready to reign. You're not just prepared for the blessing, you've been processed by the wilderness. And because of that, the approval was released before the arrival ever began. This is why things seem to take longer for you. This is why others seemed ahead. But they were early, not chosen. They rushed into rooms they weren't prepared to sustain. They touched opportunities they didn't have the maturity to handle. But you were hidden, protected, refined. You were not delayed. You were developed. Heaven knew that what's coming with your name on it isn't light. It carries legacy. It carries responsibility. It's tied to lives, bloodlines, territories, and souls. And so, God didn't rush your release. He waited until your shoulders could carry the weight of the mantle. He waited until the anointing had been tested and your character had been proven. He waited until your yes had no strings attached. And now, all of heaven is in agreement. The approval has already been processed in the spirit realm. The ink has dried. The angels have been dispatched. The embargo has been lifted. The door is already open. Now it's just a matter of divine timing for it to show up in the natural. That's why no man can block it. No enemy can delay it. No system can sabotage it. Because what's happening next in your life is not a favor from man. It's an order from heaven. It's not a coincidence, it's a confirmation. What's coming is evidence that you were marked all along. It's proof that heaven doesn't forget. It remembers every seed you sowed in silence, every tear you cried in private, every battle you fought when nobody knew. This next season won't just feel like restoration. It'll feel like divine approval made visible. What was already written in the Spirit is now being revealed in your story. You are walking into a manifestation that didn't start on earth. It started in glory. So stop wondering if you're qualified. Stop second-guessing your readiness. You didn't approve yourself. God did. And when heaven approves it, hell can't stop it. Chapter 4. The blessing is coming through strange channels. Chosen one. What's about to be released into your life won't follow a familiar path. It won't make sense to the natural mind, because this blessing isn't coming through the systems of man. It's coming through the sovereignty of God. You've been looking in one direction, but God is sending provision from another. He is rerouting the flow so that no one else can get the glory. No company, no family member, no mentor, no institution will be able to claim credit for what's about to happen to you. This will be a move that only heaven could orchestrate. Don't be surprised when help shows up in a form you weren't expecting. It may not come from who you thought it would. The very person who ignored your vision might watch someone else invest in it. The very place that rejected you may witness another city embrace you and elevate your name. God is not limited to your contacts, your qualifications, or your current location. He has divine connections already prepared, and they're being activated now. You'll receive opportunities you didn't apply for. You'll attract resources you didn't beg for. You'll walk into rooms you didn't even know existed. Why? Because God's favor will speak louder than your resume. He's raising up strangers who have been assigned to unlock the next phase of your purpose. People you've never met are already carrying answers with your name on them. They're being stirred in their spirit to bless someone they've never seen, and that someone is you. This is why your process had to be so different. This is why you were delayed, why doors were shut, and why people overlooked you. Because the elevation God is bringing you into couldn't be touched by manipulation, favoritism, or compromise. Your testimony is going to be marked by the miraculous. When others ask how it happened, you won't be able to explain it logically, only spiritually. It will be clear that this was heaven's design. Your obedience has created a ripple in the realm of the Spirit. Every act of surrender, every hidden seed you sowed, every moment you chose not to give up, has unlocked access to a supernatural supply chain. And now, what you need is going to find you. Provision is being rerouted. Favor is being funneled. Breakthrough is being delivered through unexpected vessels. The blessing will find you even when you're not looking for it. It will knock on your door while you're still worshiping in the hallway. It will call your name in places where you've never even spoken. And when it arrives, it will bring confirmation, clarity, and a peace that can only come from God. You don't need to know how. You just need to stay in position. Stay consistent. Stay faithful. Because the unusual is about to become your new normal. This is not just a blessing, it's a sign that you've been approved in heaven, a sign that your name has been whispered in rooms you haven't entered yet, a sign that the season of obscurity is ending and the season of open reward is beginning. Prepare your heart, because the way this shows up will confirm what your spirit already knows, that the hand of God is still moving, still providing, and still using whatever He wants to get His glory through your life. You won't miss it. It's already looking for you. Chapter 5. You're being trusted with more than money. Chosen one, this next season isn't just about money, it's about mantle. God is not just increasing your bank account, He's increasing your burden. He's not just sending provision, He's sending purpose. Financial favor is always tied to divine assignment. What you're about to receive isn't just for you. It's for what He assigned to you before you were even born. You were chosen to carry wealth that comes with weight. This is not the kind of breakthrough that ends in luxury alone. It leads to legacy. You're being trusted with a divine treasury because God knows you won't misuse it. He saw what you did with little. He watched you sow when you barely had enough. He listened to your prayers when you had nothing to offer but obedience and tears. And now, He's preparing you to steward abundance with the same humility that carried you through the drought. This isn't the kind of wealth that makes you flashy. It's the kind that makes you fruitful. You're being assigned resources to fund kingdom visions, to finance ministries, to build safe spaces, to break generational curses, to pull others out of pits that you had to claw your way out of. This is redemptive wealth, restorative wealth, revival-triggering wealth, and it's being placed in your hands because you've proven you won't waste it. You didn't endure the pain of lack just for a season of luxury. You endured it so you would understand what to do when the overflow arrives. This is why your heart had to be refined before your hands could receive. God had to strip away every motive that wasn't aligned with purpose. He had to purge the desire to impress people and replace it with the desire to impact souls. Because what's coming is not just about comfort, it's about calling. That's why the instruction will come with the increase. God will begin to give you blueprints in your sleep. Ideas will stir in your spirit. Strategies will start flooding your mind. You'll begin to feel a burden to build things you've never seen before. Don't ignore it. That's the evidence that you're being trusted. He's putting you in position to become the answer to someone else's prayer. The same way others walked past you when you were in need, you're going to walk toward those who are now in the same place. The same way you cried out and nobody saw, you're going to see others before they even say a word. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. Your pain didn't make you bitter, it made you better. And now, it's your turn to use what was once your warfare as someone else's breakthrough. This is wealth that will outlive you, resources that will reach beyond you. You're not just being trusted with income, you're being trusted with impact. And because your heart stayed pure through the process, God is about to make sure your hands stay full through the promise. So stay grounded, stay generous, stay focused, because the wealth is not the end, it's the tool, a divine weapon to destroy cycles of lack, silence the voice of struggle, and amplify the sound of purpose. You were chosen for this, and you're ready. Chapter 6. This breakthrough will prove God publicly. Chosen one, the breakthrough that's coming won't just shift your life. It will silence every doubt about your God. You've endured seasons where your prayers looked unanswered and your faith looked foolish. You smiled while suffering. You stayed faithful while fighting silent battles. You worshipped with nothing in your hands and everything on your heart. And now, heaven has declared it's time for the public reward. God is about to turn your private battles into public blessings. This is not about spotlight, it's about spiritual proof. The same ones who questioned your journey will witness your justification. The ones who walked away when you had nothing will now watch what God does when you lack no good thing. This is vindication from the throne room, not to feed your pride, but to fulfill His promise. You didn't strive for fame. You didn't compromise for favor. You didn't water down your walk to make it more digestible. Instead, you chose obedience when it was unpopular. You stayed low while others tried to go viral. You trusted God's process while watching others take shortcuts. And now, the time has come for Him to put His signature on your life in a way no man can ignore. This breakthrough will not be quiet. It will make noise in realms seen and unseen. Because what God is about to do through you is not just personal, it's prophetic. It's the fulfillment of promises whispered in the wilderness. It's the reward for standing when you wanted to break. It's the manifestation of miracles that have been maturing in silence. God is about to make you undeniable, not for clout, but for kingdom. You're not being elevated just to be admired. You're being positioned so that others can find Him through your story. Your rise will be a roadmap. Your increase will be a testimony. Your next chapter will preach without you saying a word. He's about to show the world why He handpicked you. He's about to confirm what you already knew in your spirit, that His favor is not random, it's intentional. The oil on your life is not cosmetic, it's covenant. And the overflow that's coming will be marked by miracles, not manipulation. You've been the underdog long enough. You've been overlooked long enough. But what's coming won't require your explanation, because the evidence will speak louder than your voice ever could. People will look at your life and have no choice but to say, "Only God could have done that." And that's exactly the point. This isn't just your moment. It's His manifestation. You are stepping into the kind of blessing that shifts bloodlines, shatters narratives, and shakes atmospheres. The kind that opens doors no man can shut. The kind that commands respect without you asking for it. The kind that proves that the God who saw you in secret is the same one exalting you in the open. So walk into it boldly, not arrogantly, but confidently, because this blessing is your confirmation. This breakthrough is your billboard, and this next chapter will leave no room for doubt. God did this. Chapter 7. This is only the beginning. Stay grounded. The money is coming, the doors are opening, the increase is manifesting. But chosen one, don't mistake this beginning for the final reward. What's happening now is just the opening scene to a much bigger story. This breakthrough is not the climax. It's the confirmation that heaven's hand is on your life. Yes, the season is shifting. Yes, the favor is visible. But be warned, elevation without grounding leads to collapse. That's why God let you suffer in silence. That's why He trained you in the shadows. You weren't delayed, you were being deepened. Because what He's about to build through you has to be rooted, not rushed. Stay humble, stay yielded, stay grounded. Don't let the applause distract you from the altar. Don't trade your calling for clout. Don't become so impressed with the gift that you forget the giver. You've been entrusted with influence, not to elevate yourself, but to glorify the one who chose you when you were still broken, bruised, and behind. You didn't fight through that pain just to spend money. You went through it so you could fund purpose. God is not just trying to make you rich. He's trying to make you impactful. He's giving you resources so you can rewrite stories, restore families, and resurrect hope in places where faith has died. This is about assignment, not attention. So don't get intoxicated with visibility. Don't get casual with sacred responsibility. Let your spirit remain quiet before God. Let your heart stay soft toward people. Let your eyes stay focused on the reason you started in the first place. You were chosen to build, to bless, and to break cycles, not to boast. Don't let the blessing make you forget the burden that birthed it. This blessing is proof of God's covenant with you, but it's also the beginning of another level of trust. More eyes, more pressure, more responsibility, and more instruction. Don't move unless He says move. Don't build what He didn't design, and don't assume that every open door is divine. Test every opportunity. Weigh every partnership in prayer, because the enemy will try to disguise distractions as promotions. The financial blessing is the start, not the summit. God is showing you the edge of the mountain, but you haven't seen the full view yet. You're just beginning to taste what's been stored up for you. But there's still more to carry, more to conquer, more to complete. Your legacy isn't just wealth, it's obedience, wisdom, and fruit that lasts beyond your lifetime. So walk differently now, think higher, move slower, speak with intention. You've been called to manage kingdom wealth, and that requires kingdom character. This isn't about luxury, it's about leadership. It's not about being noticed, it's about being faithful. You've won, chosen one, now walk like it. But walk with grace, walk with reverence, walk with vision. You are no longer who you used to be. You are no longer in the waiting room. You've been summoned to the stage. But even now, remember, the stage is not your home. God is. Stay grounded in prayer. Stay grounded in truth. Stay grounded in your original yes to God. Because as long as you stay connected to the source, the supply will never run out. Heaven didn't just approve your breakthrough, it assigned you to carry it with humility. And when God sees that He can trust you, He will continue to release more than you can imagine. This is only the beginning, but it's the beginning of everything. Stay grounded, stay faithful, stay ready. Heaven is building something through you that this world has never seen before, and you're just getting started. Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. There's something about your journey that heaven has taken personal interest in. You didn't just survive life. You submitted to the process. You didn't just keep going, you kept growing. You didn't just cry, you cried out to God. And now, the realm of the miraculous is opening to you. You're not just favored, you're marked. You're not just lucky, you're aligned. What you're about to step into isn't a coincidence, it's compensation. You are now a magnet for miracles, and it's not because of who you know, it's because of what you paid, the sacrifices, the obedience, the silence, the faith. It wasn't for nothing. Let's break this down into 7 powerful chapters to help you see the divine setup that's been unfolding in your life. Before we go deeper, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just another video, it's a divine confirmation. It's not hype, it's heaven. And you didn't find it by accident. God led you here on purpose, at the exact moment you were meant to hear this. To every supporter who's been giving through super thanks, may God bless you 100-fold. Your faithfulness is seen, not just by me, but by heaven. Thank you for standing with this prophetic work. If your spirit feels aligned with this message, type 77 in the comments right now. That number is more than a sign. It's a signal that you're ready for divine miracles, divine recompense, and divine momentum that comes when you've already paid the price, in silence, in obedience, and in faith. Not everyone is supposed to receive this word. Only the truly chosen will feel it in their bones. And those who stay till the end, you're going to leave with clarity, divine confidence, and confirmation that your miracle isn't on the way. It's already in motion. This is more than motivation. It's a prophetic blueprint. Watch it again when your spirit stirs, because each time, a deeper layer will be revealed. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. You didn't quit when you had every reason to. Chosen one. Before the favor came, the fire came first, and you walked through it, barefoot, bleeding and broken, but still believing. You had every reason to give up, every reason to turn back, every reason to believe that maybe the promise wasn't real. Life hit you with disappointments that made you question everything. People you would have died for turned around and betrayed you. Doors that you prayed would open, slammed shut. And while others around you were celebrating, it seemed like your life was stuck in delay, silence, and spiritual drought. But you didn't quit. You stayed when others left. You cried, but you still worshipped. You didn't see results, but you still showed up. You had nothing left, but you still gave. You were tempted to settle, but you chose to wait. You didn't need an audience. You just needed God. And that kind of silent loyalty doesn't go unnoticed in heaven. That kind of obedience, in the absence of reward, is what proves you're not chasing blessings. You're chasing purpose. Heaven took note of your perseverance. The angels watched you endure, and the Spirit of God whispered, "That one is ready." You passed tests no one else saw. You fought battles that would have destroyed others. You kept the faith when it made no logical sense. And now, that same quiet endurance is attracting loud miracles. You're not being rewarded, because life was easy. You're being blessed because you stayed faithful when life was brutal. You've proven to God that you can be trusted even in pain. And now He's about to trust you with power, visibility, influence, and resources, not to inflate your ego, but to show the world what favor really looks like when it rests on someone who didn't give up. This is your season of divine recompense. And this is just the beginning. You survived the season that was sent to destroy you, and now you're about to thrive in the season that was always meant to crown you. Every scar you carry is about to become a seal of honor. Every tear you shed is about to be returned as a river of blessings. What once looked like delay was actually divine development. God was not punishing you, He was preparing you. And now that the time is right, the reward will be undeniable. Chosen one, your resilience is about to speak louder than any resume. Your pain will become the platform. Your endurance will become the evidence. You didn't quit, and because of that, heaven is releasing the miracle. Get ready. This was never just about survival. It was about positioning you for supernatural overflow. Chapter 2. You paid a price in places no one saw. Chosen one, there are sacrifices only you and God will ever truly understand. Deep wounds you had to carry in silence. Decisions you made in the dark that shaped your destiny in the light. You gave when no one was watching. You prayed when no one was listening. You laid things on the altar of obedience that others would have clung to out of pride. And you did it all without applause, without validation, and without expectation of reward, simply because your spirit knew it was the right thing to do. You cried yourself to sleep, then woke up and encouraged others. You carried burdens that weren't yours to carry, just to keep the peace. You stayed loyal to people who would have replaced you in a heartbeat. And instead of seeking revenge, you sought restoration. Instead of clapping back, you chose silence. Instead of proving yourself, you trusted that God would do the revealing. These are the prices no one saw. The offerings that didn't happen on platforms, but in private. And heaven has not forgotten them. The quiet choices to forgive, to walk away, to keep your heart clean, they were costly, but they were powerful. Each one of them wrote a line in your spiritual resume. Each one stored up unseen favor in the realm of the Spirit. You weren't being overlooked. You were being observed by heaven. God was watching how you handled betrayal, scarcity, loneliness, and rejection. And because you stayed true, He's about to show everyone what kind of reward comes to those who suffer in silence but remain faithful in spirit. The price you paid in hidden places created a spiritual credit in high places. You've been storing up favor like a vault, and now the heavens are opening. Miracles don't randomly fall. They are released on the back of obedience. And your obedience has reached the ears of heaven. Your sacrifices have become incense in God's throne room. He has seen the cost. And now you're about to see the compensation. You're not begging for blessings. They're being dispatched to you. Not because of what you're doing right now, but because of what you already did when it cost you everything. You sowed in tears, but you're about to reap in joy. You stayed low, and now God is about to lift you high. People may have forgotten, but God kept the receipts. He knows every prayer you whispered through gritted teeth. He saw every time you bit your tongue to avoid cursing what He told you to bless. That kind of discipline is expensive and rare. And here's what most don't realize. Every time you chose obedience over impulse, you created an opening in the spirit realm. Every quiet moment of surrender was loud in heaven. Angels moved when you humbled yourself instead of fighting back. The atmosphere shifted every time you kept your heart clean, when bitterness tried to take root. But now, it's time for public favor to meet your private faithfulness. The reward is not just coming, it's overdue. What they thought you lost in secret, God is about to replace in public. You're not just a survivor, you're a sower. And this is harvest season. Get ready, chosen one. The price you paid in secret is about to produce a miracle that makes no sense in the natural. Chapter 3, You were broken so you could carry more. Chosen one, the breaking wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You didn't get crushed because God was angry. You got crushed because heaven was building something stronger through you. The pain wasn't random, it was targeted. The season of breaking was never meant to bury you. It was meant to build your spiritual capacity. God had to stretch you, test you, strip you, not to shame you, but to shape you. Because what you're being called to carry isn't light. Miracles may look beautiful on the outside, but they require vessels that have been tested under fire. Your heart had to be stretched in ways that felt unfair. People walked away when you needed them most. Opportunities disappeared when you thought they were guaranteed. It felt like everything stable was slipping through your fingers. But God was never trying to subtract. He was making space. Space for glory. Space for abundance. Space for divine revelation. When you lost what was familiar, you gained access to what was eternal. That kind of expansion hurts, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen to carry more than the average person. And carrying more always starts with losing what you thought you couldn't live without. You weren't just being humbled, you were being hollowed out, so that divine power could fill you. Every shattered expectation, every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every season of silence, it was all part of your training. God didn't allow you to be broken to watch you bleed. He allowed it so He could teach you how to bless from a deeper place. The oil flows from the crushed. The anointing rests on the yielded. You couldn't carry this mantle with a shallow mindset or an untested heart. So God allowed life to bend you, to bruise you, to break you, so that your vessel would be strong enough to carry the weight of what's coming. Miracles are heavy, and not everyone can steward them. Many want the blessing, but they don't want the breaking. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the shaping. But you endured. You stayed when it got uncomfortable. You kept walking even when your feet were bloody. You trusted God even when you didn't understand the assignment. That is why you're about to be trusted with more. The breaking was never the end. It was the blueprint. Your brokenness created access to a level of spiritual maturity that can't be faked. Your tears baptized you into a new level of discernment. Your loneliness trained your ears to hear heaven. Your disappointments taught you to find joy in God alone. And now, what once looked like ruins is being rebuilt into a temple of power, a sanctuary of wisdom, a fortress of faith. People who saw your broken season thought it disqualified you, but it actually certified you. The cracks in your soul became the pathways for God's light. The pain softened your heart so that divine compassion could flow through you. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not wounded, you're woven together with holy intention. You're not broken anymore, you're built. You didn't survive that season just to go back to normal. Normal doesn't fit you anymore. You went through the fire so you could carry the flame. You went through the storm so you could calm other people's. You were broken so you could become a blessing. And now, the weight you once struggled under will become the weight you carry with authority. Heaven is about to reveal why you had to break, because what's coming is too powerful to be carried in anything less than a surrendered vessel. Chapter 4. You attract the miraculous because you stayed pure. Chosen one. The reason miracles are starting to surround you is because you refuse to contaminate your spirit. You could have chosen the easy route. You could have blended in. You could have lied, schemed, compromised, and no one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You kept your hands clean and your heart right, even when it cost you. You chose the narrow path, the road of purity. Not perfection, but purity. A heart that stayed loyal to God in a world full of shortcuts and counterfeits. Even when it was tempting to compromise, you kept your soul aligned with truth. You walked away from money that didn't feel right. You avoided opportunities that came with a spiritual price tag. You stayed quiet when it was easier to clap back. You prayed for people who hurt you. You forgave before apologies ever came. That kind of heart posture doesn't go unnoticed in the spirit realm. Heaven responds to purity with power. You didn't manipulate your way forward. You waited. You didn't sell your values for visibility. You didn't betray your conscience for clout. You understood that being clean before God is more valuable than being celebrated by men. And now, that integrity is drawing divine attention. Miracles aren't just about what you believe. They're also about how you behave when no one is watching. And your behavior in hidden places has become a beacon for supernatural favor. God saw the quiet decisions you made to protect your spirit. He saw you delete that message. He saw you walk away from that offer. He saw you sit alone rather than sit with the wrong crowd. He saw you say no to things that others would have said yes to out of desperation. And while it felt like you were missing out, what you were really doing was making room for something real, something holy, something only heaven could provide. The world may reward performance, appearance, and achievement, but God rewards purity. Holiness isn't outdated. It's still the breeding ground for breakthrough. And you've been growing in it, silently. You've been becoming pure gold in a world chasing glitter. You've been building an altar with your lifestyle, not just your lips. That's why heaven is responding. That's why angels are being assigned. That's why doors are opening without you forcing them. The fact that you didn't let life turn you cold or cynical is a miracle by itself. You remained soft when life was hard. You chose love when hate felt justified. You chose peace when chaos surrounded you. And that softness, that purity, has made you magnetic to the miraculous. Because purity is powerful. It's not weak, it's warfare. It's a quiet weapon that invites heaven to war on your behalf. You're not just blessed, you're set apart. That's what holiness means. Set apart. Different. Consecrated. While others chased the world, you chased God. While others sought popularity, you pursued presence. And now, that presence is overtaking your life. You don't need to chase miracles. They're being sent to you because of who you became when no one else was watching. Chapter 5. You sowed in drought. Now comes the rain. Chosen one, you gave when you had every reason to withhold. You loved when your heart was bleeding. You served while you were secretly suffering. You poured into others when no one was pouring into you. You stayed generous even when you felt empty. Your time, your money, your prayers, your encouragement, your presence. You gave without keeping score, not because you had so much, but because your heart refused to turn cold. You weren't just generous in the natural. You were sacrificial in the spiritual. You gave God your time when others gave excuses. You gave Him your worship when life gave you every reason to stay silent. You didn't sow from surplus. You sowed from scarcity. That's what made it powerful. That's what made it holy. You honored God not only with your mouth, but with your life. And every seed you planted, even the ones watered by tears, is now crying out for a harvest. The drought was real. The lack was real. But you never let it dry up your faith. You sowed in famine. You gave love in a world that withheld it. You gave kindness when you were met with cruelty. You chose to sow peace in the middle of chaos. And even when it looked like your seeds were being buried and forgotten, they were being counted in heaven. God was watching. And now comes the rain. The rain isn't random. It's a divine response. The clouds are full because your faith made deposits. Every quiet sacrifice, every unseen offering, every prayer whispered in the dark, every time you gave without applause, every moment you trusted God more than your feelings. It's all been accumulating. The heavens have kept a perfect record, and now the floodgates are swinging open. This isn't just a blessing, it's a downpour, a saturation, a supernatural release of what's been held back. Because of your obedience in drought, you are about to reap in overflow. You're about to receive answers that overwhelm you, provision that overtakes you, favor that follows you like a shadow. You gave in faith, now you'll receive by force. Not because you begged, but because you believed. The laws of the kingdom have always been clear. He who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. And you, chosen one, sowed with your life. That's why the reaping won't just touch your hands, it will cover your house. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never stepped into. Angels are being dispatched to deliver what was delayed. This isn't compensation, it's multiplication. So don't be surprised when doors open without your knocking. Don't question why help shows up without you asking. Don't second-guess the favor that falls in your lap. This is the reward of your faithfulness. This is the fruit of your drought season obedience. This is divine math, and heaven never misses a calculation. You gave when it was hard, now God is making it easy. You sowed when it hurt, now He's healing what you didn't even speak about. You watered others while you were dry, now He's sending rivers to you. The season of drought was the proving ground. And because you passed the test, the forecast has changed in your favor. Chosen one, get ready, because it's not just a drizzle, it's rain, a prophetic rain. Chapter 6. You're in position, now comes the power. Chosen one, this is not the season to shrink. This is the season to shine. You didn't come this far to blend in. You didn't survive what you did just to sit in the background. God has not only refined your character, He's positioned your life. Every door that closed, every person that left, every plan that fell apart. None of it was by accident. It was all divine choreography, a setup, a holy rerouting. Because where you're standing now is not a mistake. It's a manifestation of strategic placement. Every detour had a destiny. Every delay carried instructions. Every time you felt like nothing was working, heaven was actually working everything together for your good. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. You were being moved, shifted, adjusted, realigned, not just geographically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. God has moved you like a warrior in a divine chess game. And now, the board is set. You are exactly where you need to be for power to flow. You've entered a season where heaven doesn't need you to try harder, just to stay aligned. You don't need to chase, you need to remain. You don't need to convince, you need to stand. Because when God positions you, He also empowers you. You are about to experience supernatural acceleration, not because of striving, but because of surrender. Your obedience has opened a gate, and now divine power is about to rush through it. This power is not just for signs and wonders. It's for divine assignments. You are being trusted with influence. You are being trusted with insight. You are being trusted with impact. What once drained you will now draw from you. You're becoming a source of strength, healing, and direction. Not because you're better than others, but because you've been broken in the right places. You've been crushed where others would have quit. And God always gives His power to the proven. Chosen one, you're not just in a new place, you're in a new posture, and heaven responds to posture more than performance. This isn't about how loud your voice is, it's about how yielded your heart is. You didn't push your way here, you were pulled here by purpose. You didn't manipulate your seat, God carved it out for you. And now that you're in position, power is about to confirm your presence. Watch how quickly things begin to shift. Watch how effortlessly doors open. Watch how resources arrive without a struggle. This is the grace zone, where effort meets ease, where purpose meets power. You're not just stepping into a new season. You're stepping into divine effectiveness. You'll speak and things will move. You'll show up and atmospheres will shift. You'll pray and chains will break. Because you're not operating from your own strength. You're flowing in supernatural authority. The wait was worth it. The warfare was necessary. The wilderness had purpose. Because now you don't just have clarity, you carry weight. Heaven recognizes your name. Hell fears your movement. And earth is about to feel your impact. Chosen one, this is your power moment. Not the kind of power that puffs up, but the kind that heals, builds, restores, and leads. Power with purity, power with purpose, power that multiplies, power that doesn't need applause because it's anchored in assignment. Chapter 7. This isn't luck. This is God's reward system. Chosen one, the world may call it coincidence. They may whisper that you got lucky or that you were in the right place at the right time. But heaven knows better. You know better. This moment, this breakthrough, this shift in your life is not some random blessing that fell out of the sky. It is a divine response to a life of faithfulness. This is the reward of obedience, the harvest of hidden sacrifice, the manifestation of promises whispered in the dark. This is God's reward system, and you're walking proof that it's real. You served when no one noticed. You sowed seeds of faith when everything around you screamed doubt. You kept your hands clean, your heart soft, and your spirit open, even when life hit hard. That was not weakness. That was spiritual strength. That was the kind of integrity that can't be faked, and heaven never forgets it. The miracles you're stepping into are not miracles of chance. They are miracles of covenant. You made a quiet agreement with God when no one was watching, that you'd stay faithful, no matter the cost. This is a scheduled release, a heaven-timed moment that couldn't be rushed, stolen, or delayed. The reward may look instant, but the preparation took years. You suffered in silence. You healed in hiding. You kept showing up when quitting would have been easier. And now, your life is becoming a testimony that God sees, God remembers, and God repays. You're not just being elevated, you're being vindicated. Every time they overlooked you, mocked you, doubted you, it's being reversed, not by your hand, but by God's. Because when God rewards, He makes it public. He doesn't just lift you privately, He prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. Chosen one, you've stepped into a new realm now, a realm where miracles aren't occasional, they're expected, where supernatural provision becomes a lifestyle, because you're not just walking into blessings, you're walking in authority, power that was granted through purity. This is what it looks like when heaven responds to a clean vessel. This isn't hype, this is holiness. This isn't noise, this is alignment. You're not faking it, you've been formed for it. That's why you carry weight when you walk into a room. You're not just anointed, you're trusted. God didn't give you this season to impress people. He gave you this season to fulfill prophecy. So walk boldly, not arrogantly, but confidently. Live fully, not fearfully, but faithfully. Expect suddenly, not because you're entitled, but because you're aligned. The miraculous is not a surprise to you. It's your new normal. This isn't luck. This is legacy. This is what favor looks like on a faithful life. This is what it looks like when God steps in and says, "Well done."